All right. Yeah, we're gonna play the bird. Gonna play bird's opening. I was just recording a video in Portuguese, so it feels weird speaking in English now. It's so much better. It's so much easier speaking in English. I don't have to strain my mind to try to figure out how to say a certain word that I'm trying to think of in English. Yeah, but alas, we're here. It's time to go. We got to get things moving. We got the fianchetto defense, playing the old fianchetto defense. Gonna castle here. We've played fianchetto defense a bunch, but pretty much never in rapid, as far as I can tell. Bishop g4 is a weird move. Man, I feel like a kid in a candy store with this mouse. This mouse is amazing. This mouse is like 10 times better than the old one. We could play knight e5, but I think now it would make more sense to try to get the bishop pair, right? Let's play d3. We have to, whenever we play d3 in these positions, we need to watch out for their knight g4, knight takes e3 tricks. Like takes, knight g4. We take on g7. He takes on e3. That doesn't really work yet. We do need to be careful, though. Let's play knight d2. Takes, knight g4. No, that still doesn't work. We're still okay. There. All right, I think it is... Should I play h3 now, or should we play queen e1? Dude, what is this position, man? This position is very strange. Um, we could play a3. I mean, I'm not really sure. Like, what is the deal here? What is the deal with what we're doing? Dude, I'm so confused. If we play a3, takes. I'm not sure we should be playing a3 because I think in a lot of positions he plays b5 and then we play a4. So this would involve a waste of a tempo. I'll play h3 here. I'm not exactly sure what to do. It doesn't seem like h3 is a really harmful move to our structure, but it weakens g3 slightly. All right, here we'll play queen d2. Oh, he has 94. Yeah, 90. We should be a little careful about 94. Maybe we should play c4 here. Yeah, let's get feisty. I'm gonna play c4. It's weird, but at least now my bishop's defended. 94 doesn't do anything any longer. He could play d4, we play e4. If takes, I could take either way. I like b takes, though. B takes leads to a much weirder structure. There. Bro's getting frisky in the cabbage patch, man. Bro's gotta watch what he's doing. Bro's gotta watch his back in the cabbage patch, am I right? We could definitely take, because the thing, e4 looks good, but then bishop h6. And he has e5 coming. But actually, wait. e4, bishop h6. I just played g4 there. I'm playing g5 too soon. Yeah, that would be time to go. e4. He could play e5. Then we play f5. That is weird. e4, e5. That's a very weird position. We could also even trade there. I don't think I could be worse, but maybe I'm not better. Bishop is really, really misplaced if we leave this pawn cemented on d4. I don't know. This could go either way. Because we take here takes b4, that also looks promising. That's another promising position. There are a bunch of promising options here. I'm going to go with e4. I'm like 50-50. I could definitely be wrong. d4, it might have been better just to take on d4. He has to play e5, though, now. If he doesn't play e5, we're going to play e5 and we're going to start steamrolling him. Got the classic e4, f4 duo. The duo of destiny. Yeah, man, I've had too much coffee today. Had too much coffee, but luckily I had my food. I already ate the steak, had a delicious steak. Yeah, here in Argentina, they have this delicious spicy hot sauce. It's like a very specific type of smoky hot sauce called chimichurri. I'd always seen it written, and I never really understood what it was. It is delicious. It is scrumptious. I've been getting a steak with mashed potatoes and just dumping on the chimichurri. And yeah, alas, my body really regrets it after, but you know, that's the fate of the birdmaster. Birdmaster never learns. Birdmaster never learns. He never learns to moderate his hot sauce. E5, okay. So if f5 takes knight h4, that's another idea. The problem I don't like takes there though. Yeah, that's a frisky position, man. That is a super frisky position. F5 takes knight h4. He could take with the knight even. That's wild. If he takes with the knight, I play queen e1 though. I'm gonna Man, f takes would also be fine. Let the record show f takes is definitely equal for white at least, but I want to get frisky. We're going to play f5 here. This is going to get super messy. If he takes the knight, I play queen e1. If he takes this way, I play queen g5. I think I have enormous compensation here. We got a lot of compensation here. Yeah, look at this. Even takes knight f5, he plays e3, I play queen e1. Queen is coming around to g3. If he plays king f8, queen g3, bishop h8. Dude, I have a lot of compensation there, but this pawn is extremely strong, though, at the same time. We got to be careful. Like, if I was just able if I was able to take this pawn back without having to compromise my structure, I wouldn't have any problem with it. The issue is just after takes, he's going to put his pawn here, and he's going to build a wall, a solid wall of concrete against my bishop. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Yeah, takes, I think I have to start with queen g5. There, no, I play queen e1, though. We talked about this. This is right up my alley. I guess he's going to play knight d6 here. Knight d6 is actually a good move. I probably should have seen that rather than chit-chatting, but yeah, actually, knight d6, am I in trouble? Knight d6, I just didn't realize that. He's going to be able to trade my knight off. This is not clear at all. Knight c3, I'm happy to see that, man. Do whatever you want. I don't care about that bishop. The joke's on you, pal. All I want is this knight to get to f5. That's all that matters. If my knight gets to f5, we're in business. Next on the itinerary, I'm going to try to get my bishop through to e4. Yeah, maybe the sacrifice wasn't the best because my bishop isn't here. If my bishop was on this diagonal, it would be a lot better. You know, I said it once, I'll say it again. I'm learning a lot in these videos. This is really educational content for me. He plays queen g5. We could play bishop c1, queen g6. There. Bro really doing that? Bro's really trying to get frisky in the dragon's den? I could always win this pawn back if I want, but like we could take here. We could also take this way. We could also play bishop h5. Very, very weird stuff at the moment. Yeah, we take, bishop h5, knight g6. No, that's not that clear. That ain't that clear. Let's take, and then play bishop g4. That's the way to do it. Hitting the rook, hitting the e-pawn. He is in a lot of trouble there. It's time to go. I think he has to play f5, but no, even f5 I take here. This is looking great, and I can always win this pawn back whenever I want. Yeah, Birdmaster is definitely in business. Birdmaster is in business, and coffee is certainly cold. Delicious cold coffee. Scrumptious. Just what the doctor ordered. No, it's real. I'm realizing it's pretty funny. Like, look at the sweater. I thought that it would be good to wear a sweater that's not white because I won't blend into the wall, but I'm realizing now I'm blending into the stairs behind me. So it's a classic pick your poison type decoration scenario. The old classic decoration fiasco. Yeah, I'm just up. I've equalized the pawns and I'm up in exchange here. This is completely over. The sacrifice definitely worked out for me. It's definitely time to go. We're gonna just pile up. Yeah, the wonderful thing about the sacrifice here is that we've weakened these squares forever. Even in this position now, I can eventually think about drilling my rooks into these squares. Probably the best way to do it, though, we need to just open files for these rooks, but I'm wondering the right way to... If we play b4, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, let's play b4. Let's just open up files. If I open up files, the game is going to become a lot easier. There. Let's take here. Just keep opening files. If he takes the queen, I play king h1. I'm going to play rook d1 and d4 here. Just trying to open up more and more files. Like, to his credit, he's keeping the game very closed, which is making it very difficult for me to convert this this extra exchange. All right. Yeah, how are we going to do this? Let's play a4. Get this pawn to a5. Playing Imodium. I'm just realizing that. That's a funny name. Okay, knight e2. Does knight e2 do anything? No, knight e2 doesn't do anything yet. I always have queen c2. Oh, well, wait, actually, he's going to put his queen on c6. We got to be a little bit careful. Let's get the king. Yeah, let's get the king out of the way. Queen c6, I have queen c2. I'm going to play g3 shortly. All right. Oh, there. I guess he could take on d3. Rook f3, e4. We have rook g3. Rook f3, e4. Dude, this is getting a little feisty, man. Bro's getting feisty in the Dragon's Den. We play g3, knight takes d3. Rook f3. Rook f3, knight e1. What is this position, dude? This position is very, very tricky. Rook f3, e4. Just play. I don't want to play king h1 though. Rook f3, e4, rook g3 check. Where does this king go? Where does his king go? That's like my catchphrase. Where does his king go? Dude, this position is weird, man. I mean, I want to play g3. The problem with g3 is going to get very, very frisky. Should we play rook d2? Yeah, let me play rook d2. We'll figure out the rest later. If e4, maybe I play g3 there. Maybe I just wasted time and I let this pawn get further. Yeah, I think that was actually a really big mistake. E4 is going to be even stronger than before. Yeah, he has enormous compensation here. I'm sort of like I'm dumbstruck at how much compensation he has. E4, dude, I'm in trouble after E4. I played this way too rashly. I should have been much more careful. I just thought that once I win the exchange, it's going to be very easy to win such a position. Dude, E4, E3, I'm in a lot of trouble there. I don't even know what he's thinking about. E4 has to be the move. E4, I think I'm going to play G3. E3. Dude, the E4 is rook d2 is just a terrible move because now e4 comes under the best of circumstances. I should have played something like queen e1. Rook d2 is a really bad move. I mean, what is he thinking about? Just play something. Bro's making me stew. Okay, I got very lucky there. I got extremely lucky. Wait, can't we take here? We take. If he takes, then we take. That's good. But if he takes here, we throw in a check. He plays king h8. This is weird. This is really weird. Let's just take here. Yeah, this is strange. All right, I'm gonna take here and just try to open the board. Let's play a5. I like a5 a lot. Trying to clear some pawns out. If he takes here, I can play rook a1. Start harvesting the apples. I mean, we're waiting here, pal. I can't believe he didn't play e4 there, though. Dude, I think I was dead lost after e4 in that other position there. There's definitely time to go. Can never get enough of this cold coffee. Okay, e4. Interesting. Yeah, we actually need to be very careful. This pawn is getting to e3. Okay, yeah, let me start by, I think I should take here. Takes, e3. Wait, sorry. Takes, rook b1, e3, takes, e2, rook e6, queen takes, c5, knight d3, c6. That's winning. That's very close, but that is winning. Let's start by taking here. Then I'm going to recalculate this now. Rook b1, e3, rook takes, e2, rook e6, e1 queen, then it takes c5, and he doesn't have any checks here because my pawns cover all of them. Like knight c2, c6. Yeah. Knight c2, c6, knight d4, c7. The thing I'm concerned about, though, is look at this. Rook b1, e3. I take. What if he plays king f7? If he plays king f7, I could play c5, e2, rook b1, queen takes, c6. No, that doesn't work any longer. Dude, what is this position? Wait, why don't I just play king g3 here? Why am I overcomplicating it? King g3, e3, king f3. Was it really that simple? This entire time it was that simple, and I was just overcomplicating it. I only have a minute left, man. I have to think. It's definitely time to go. All right, rook b1 now. Collecting the pawns soon enough. There. That's a good move. Well, wait. King f4 takes... Let's take here. He's going to take this way. We play rook b4, skewering these two. Knight d6, I play king f4. That should be completely winning because his knight is really misplaced here. His knight is super misplaced in this position. If he plays f5, I have king e5. King f7, rook b6, king e6. Dude, what is happening in this building, man? Sounds like someone is rolling a barrel down the stairs, upstairs. All right, we'll just play rook b6. I'm just gonna wait around. I'm just hanging around, man. It's time to go. Let's just play, actually, let's start with g4 here. I'll push this h-pawn down the board. I don't know, like, what is he gonna do here? This is tough. I'm gonna throw in a check. If he goes here, then I'm gonna play rook a1. I think he's in a lot of trouble. At some point, I might even be able to cash out and just take the knight, but we should wait. Let's play rook a1 here. I'm gonna play rook d1. Yeah, he still has nothing to do. If he could get his knight to d3, we might be in some danger, but he can't. I could just pre-move this, actually. I think he has to move his king back. Yeah, he really has nothing else to do except for move his king back. There, what is he doing? I'm just going to check. This is not going to be healthy. There. No, now I can take, though. He doesn't have knight c3. There. All right, rook f1. It's definitely time to go. Knight c3, we'll play king f5. Knight d5. Yeah, this is like his last trick. It's like the last-ditch effort. King g6. Just had to watch out for that fork. It's the last trick in the book. Okay, I guess he has one more trick in the book, but it doesn't matter, though. He's losing anyway. 28 seconds is a ton of time in Birdmaster's world. Yeah, okay, this is just completely over. Nice. Definitely some hiccups on the road to chess mastery here. So f4 here. We got all this. All of this is standard. Yeah, normally people in these positions play c5, castles, knight c6, knight e5, and I've probably reached this position like 100 times. Very classic position. Computer saying negative 0.26. Do not worry about that. Computer does not know what it's talking about. All right, so here we play d3. Is this correct? This is correct. We could also play h3 here. I didn't like this that much, though. I just thought my bishop is just pointed to concrete here. Like, it's not like my bishop is necessarily bad, but just trying to win the bishop pair is not going to do anything for us. It's just like this is not so special. So d3 here, knight d2. Apparently this is a mistake. c4 I'm supposed to play. Yeah, this is interesting. d4 and then knight e5. Weird, and we get like the pseudo Benoni structure. We're not even supposed to take on e3. Taking on e3 runs into knight g4. Instead, we play knight c3 here. The game stays balanced. Really, really complicated stuff. Yeah, this is weird. I mean, this has to be okay for us. Like, we have very good pieces. We're going to win this pawn back on e3 soon enough. He has no way to defend it. Like, there's even this, like, very slow plan of taking the pawn back this way. This can't be bad. I got to study these positions in more detail, man. I just don't know them that well. I still feel like I'm regularly bringing bird dishonor on the bird opening. Yeah, knight d2 is definitely slightly inaccurate. He could take here. This is what I didn't like, because you have to be very careful here. If you take with the bishop, they have knight g4. You don't want your knight to be on d2 when they go for this trick, because if you take now, the whole issue here is takes, here takes, and they're hitting your knight. If this knight weren't hanging in this position, you could just take here, and they're not going to have anything to do. They're going to have to take your bishop back, and you're going to take, and you're up a piece. Your knight being on d2 ruins the equation, though. They could take here, they're hitting your bishop, you're not winning any material. In fact, you're just going to be down a pawn. Well, okay, so yeah, if you take, they take, they're up a pawn, they have fantastic winning chances here. Instead, you should take this way, but even here, you know, the game's sort of devolved. Your bishop is a bit weird here. They're going to play queen f6. It's really hard to get your bishop back to the right diagonal. Yeah, this isn't good. You got to be very careful about this knight g4 idea. Whenever their bishop is fan shouted here, just be very careful about it. Takes. I was planning on taking with the knight, though. I didn't think that this could be a problem. He plays d4 here. Interesting. And yeah, if takes knight g4, uh-oh. We're definitely in the dragon's den here. Queen d2, he just doubles down. He takes, he's going to implant the knight on e3. This is really dangerous stuff. Yeah, this speaks to one of like the lingering dangers of the bird. When you play d3, you need to be very careful that you have something ready against their d4 stuff. That's why the computer was saying I should play c4 here, because now if d4 in these types of positions here, well, we could play h3, and here, for instance, it's clear their knight is not going to get anywhere close to this, right? We have a pawn covering. Okay, I'm guessing here there's actually this, but like y'all get the message. Like if something like knight c6 here, we could just take. We could also even play queen e2. Computer's saying this is inaccurate. I think this is still fine for white. This should be completely fine for white. Okay, I'm actually looking at though. This is very interesting. Yeah, structurally speaking, he should be slightly better here. I did not appreciate how bad this position is. Yeah, and if f5, bishop h6, everything is just in a wrong position here, in this position. We would like our pawn to be on g3 and our bishop to be on g2 here. The reason I was so confused about this position is that it looks very, very close to King's Indians, which I know are fine. There are just a bunch of slight differences though. Our bishop is a little worse placed here because it's moved away from c1. And so like in this position, for instance, he can activate his bishop. Normally in these analogous positions, which are in King's Indians, where it's normally black who has this much space and has this prolonged structure, normally white never has this opportunity to put the bishop here. But in this position, yeah, this bishop is just really misplaced here. Yeah, okay, I learned my lesson. This is going to be the takeaway. Yeah, so here, knight d2. Yeah, this is weird. h3 is a big mistake. Interesting, look at that. Okay, well, actually, I mean, computer's coming to its senses, though. I don't think h3 is that bad. What am I supposed to do here? Knight e5? I was considering knight e5. Honestly, I just didn't like the fact that it traded so much, but it's not that big an issue here. We could also take with the bishop. Yeah, this is good now. This can only be good for us. We'll play knight f3. We have ideas of c4. c4 is still a good move. Yeah, if they ever take here, we could take... What are we going to take within these positions? Can we see that? a6 like c4. If they take here, I would assume we take with b. Interesting, we take with d. Interesting, yeah, we take with d. We're going to play rook d1. We are going to have slightly better chances because we're the first ones to get to the d file. Another problem for him as well is that the c pawn is always a little weak here. We always have ideas of bishop d6 and taking. Another thing we might try is knight e4, but we have to wait for his knight to come off of the score. So I'm in a lot of trouble here. Yeah, knight g4. Oh, I always forget this. Yeah, the knight g4 trick. This works because our g3 square is weak. I always make this mistake. Yeah, takes. We play something like queen c1. They take here. And in these positions, if our pawn was on h2, we would be winning. If our pawn was on h2, they would have to take here. We'd take their knight, and we'd be completely winning. The problem, though, is they play knight g3, and they're hitting this. Yeah, and we're losing. And notice back in this position, we don't have anything else to do. If we play queen e1, then they could just take here. We're not threatening their knight here. We needed to respond to this knight takes in one of these ways, but in both of them, the knight takes is better now. Like queen d2, they take and they're immediately hitting our queen, so we don't even have time to take their rook here. Yeah, this is just a classic desperado idea that you really have to be careful of in these fianchetto positions. They almost always... They work very dependent on if they work based on two factors. If you have a knight here, they generally work because that means their knight is going to be hitting this. The other time they work is if you've played h3, or because then the g3 square is going to be weak. Yeah, so knight takes f3, queen d2. Yeah, you got to be careful here, guys. If it's any consolation, by the way, though, like as evidenced by this game, very, very few people pick up on this trick. Normally, only very strong players would only be aware of this trick, this knight g4 idea. Like case in point, yours truly was always watching out for this trick. But apparently I didn't watch out enough because it was time to go. Anyway, bro played rook c8, I played queen d2. Apparently I'm just supposed to play c4 in all these positions, and then if d4, then what? Then we play e4, e5. Yeah, and this is a little different. He can't respond this easily here. Apparently, okay, we're going to talk about this later. I guess I made a big mistake with f5 here because I played f5 in an analogous position, and the computer does not like f5 at all. All right, so bro played queen. I played queen d2. Apparently, I was supposed to play c4, but whatever. Yeah, c4. It seems like c4 is just a very common idea. Come to think of it, in my course, I actually recommend c4 in a lot of positions like this. But yeah, I just got to review my course, honestly. Like, Birdmaster is getting rusty. I haven't been using my wings in quite some time, so I haven't been able to soar through the air. And maintain my much needed versatility. Anyway, c4, d4, e4. Bro played e5 here. I was thinking about takes. I didn't think that this could be a problem. Yeah, I thought that this has to be fine here. So this is turned into a reverse Benoni structure. Those of y'all who play the Benoni know what I'm talking about. It's characterized by them having an advanced pawn on queen 5. This is their queen 5, and we have an advanced pawn on our queen bishop 4. It's characterized by these two. Normally, our bishop is not good being fianchettoed in these types of positions against their pawn because normally it just doesn't affect much pressure. So this would be a strike against our position, but there are a bunch of strikes for our position. We've gotten b4 in, which normally takes us a lot of time. We've also gotten f4 in, which takes us a lot of time as well. This would be analogous to getting b5 and f5 in the Benoni. Yeah, in general, you know what they say. If you get b5 and f5 in the Benoni, you have to be doing well. That's a Birdmaster standard. Yeah, this is a really weird position, though. I didn't think that this could be bad for white. I just thought that e4 would be more interesting, and also I thought that I was going to catch him slacking, and I thought he was going to allow us to play e5. He played e5, and alas, I was a bit disappointed. I played f5 here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay, I felt that this might be wrong, but I just thought, like, I had to go for it, for the thrill of the battle. So I played knight h4 here. What am I supposed to do, though? I'm supposed to just take. So if we take, they play knight d7, and we don't want this, because then they're going to take back here, and they're going to have a fantastic blockade. Yeah, in this type of position, this is just a very bad type of King's Indian, because our bishop is really misplaced here. Our bishop would like to be over here. Like, if we just waste time, like let's say bishop is on c1, let's say that they've wasted some time here. I'm just tinkering around with the position just to show you guys something. Like if our bishop was on this side of the diagonal in this position, we could just play bishop g5 here and we'd be okay. I think this is still going to be very tricky. But yeah, as long as our bishop is on the right side of the action here, this is a very different type of struggle. We should be at least equal here. Still, we're probably not better. Our other bishop is really, really bad at the moment, but at the end of the day, we do have the bishop pair. They have fantastic control over the dark squares. These things should cancel out. We can't be worse here. Like, the whole issue, though, is that in this position, our bishop is really bad. Our bishop is behind this wall of concrete here. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to go for this. The computer's saying we could have taken with the knight, though. I'm wondering, what is the difference here? If knight d7, what do we have? Bishop g... Oh... Oh, okay. Yeah, we're able to force off the trade of this awful bishop. I completely missed this. Look at this. Bishop g4, we're shooting through here. They can't take with the knight because then we win the exchange. They're going to have to do something like this. Then we can always take here. We've made this trade. I just talked about how ugly this bishop is, and it is technically ugly, but in this type of position, we've traded off their great knight. They don't have anything to do in the short term. I would assume, yeah, we're just going to play something like rook f3, rook f1, and eventually our bishop is going to come around to the right side of the action. Eventually, our bishop could never be worse here with them having all their pawns stuck on dark squares. It's just going to take our bishop some time to get around, but eventually it's going to go to g5 or h6, even maybe f4 if their bishop retreats. And yeah, we could never be worse here. All right, this is very good to know. Why do you think I'm struggling with this position so much? Why do you think I'm making so many mistakes in this position? Well, it's pretty much because I've never seen a structure like this before. This is a very weird structure, especially combined with the fact that the bishop is misplaced. I said it once, I'll say it again, guys. If you get a structure you don't know, you better try to stay afloat because you are going to collapse. Your rating, your strength, everything about your chess is going to take a massive step downwards. You want to get structures you know. If you get a structure you don't know, normally you're going to learn a lot about chess, but you're also probably going to lose because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. People make mistakes in structures they don't know. This whole course that I'm doing with e4, e5, I don't want to give away many of the details, but it was this understanding that really motivated a lot of the recommendations against e4. The whole idea is that if you can get your opponent in a structure they don't know, they're just not going to have any way to get a hold of their bearings, and they're going to make tons of mistakes because they're not going to have any idea where their pieces belong. And so looking at this position, like I'm able to sort of make sense of this when I have the computer on. And, now that I understand what the computer thinks about certain positions. But if I didn't have the computer's help, and if I was stuck playing this position in a real game, it would take me a very long time to figure out these relatively normal things. Meanwhile, conversely, if I had studied the structure, these things would be second nature for me, and I would have been able to really quickly been able to appraise the fact that knight takes e5 is best, because in this position we have this bishop g4 resource, which is super important because this bishop is actually a terrible piece in this structure. Yeah, this is a very bizarre structure. It's characterized by this. This is like a weird type of Czech Benoni-esque structure, but with the Czech Benoni with the bishop fianchetto, this should not be good at all. Suffice to say, this should definitely not be good. I sort of felt that it was a little ugly, but I just didn't realize how bad it was going to be. Anyway, I made an even bigger mistake with f5 here. I would assume the whole issue with this was that he's going to take and get his pawn to e3. So let's see what happens. Knight h4. Bro took this way. He should take this way. I was planning queen g5 here, and I thought that, if something like e3, we play knight f5 and we're completely winning. All right. I mean, honestly, in my defense, though, he only has one way to keep a winning advantage here. He could play something like rook e6. And the idea here is that if knight f5, he has queen f8. Yeah, we don't have any compensation here. Like, okay, technically speaking, after takes, we might have a little compensation because our bishop is getting here. But ultimately, yeah, I just don't have enough. It's just too much. And a really big part of the problem here is the fact that our bishop is just misplaced here. Our bishop should be on this diagonal. In all of these positions, when I played this f5 move, I was really inspired by this classic f5, f4 sacrifice in the Dutch defense. But in this position, yeah, in all those positions that I'm thinking of in the Dutch defense, the bishop is on c8. The bishop is not fianchettoed into a brick wall. Yeah, that's a big game changer here. So f5 was just a terrible move. All right, knight h4. Yeah, if bro takes, queen g5, we're just losing after rook e6. We do not have enough. Anyway, lucky for me, bro took here. I played queen e1. Honestly, I thought I had decent compensation here. He should play knight d6 here. If he plays knight f6, we should be in the cabbage patch now. And by the cabbage patch, I mean we're definitely in the driver's seat. Yeah, because we have fantastic control of these squares. This is what that aforementioned Dutch sacrifice is going for. You want to get full control of these squares. Your bishop is going to come back to the action. Your queen is going to come back to the action. I'm actually sort of surprised, given how ugly this bishop is, that we're already better here. Like, if he plays king h8, what are we going to do? We're just going to take. And yeah, like, guys, can you imagine this? Like, even here we have a move. We can spend a move getting the bishop back, and we're still winning here. If the bishop was already here, we could just do this, pin the knight, combine it with queen h4. That would be a hopeless position. Bishop c1, even this is hopeless for him, though. Look at that. That's shocking. We're threatening this pin. If he tries to get out of the way, what are we going to do? We're going to throw in a check. If he runs this way, we can take the pawn, already even the material, and this should be completely winning. If he plays king f8, then what? Do we have a sacrifice? Okay, we could check. He goes here. Dude, there must be a sacrifice here. We probably could sacrifice, but even simpler is just check. f6, takes. We throw in a check. Hitting this, king e6. Oh, look at this. Takes, check, here, and there, the big one, the big kahuna. Queen d7, checkmate, wins the game. It's time to go. So I played queen e1. Yeah, honestly, I thought I had a little compensation here. If he plays knight f6, he's going to be in trouble. He's going to head to those positions we just looked at. I was expecting knight d6, though, and I thought takes. I actually don't think this is that bad here, because normally the whole thing is that if you can control these squares off of the sacrifice, then you have full compensation. Like, if I just tinker around with the position a little bit, white should be doing well here now. Yeah, because notice that actually in this position now, it's very hard for him to dislodge this rook. The whole problem back here is that he still could have an advantage if he plays knight e7 to dislodge our rook. Our rook has to move somewhere, and then he can play f5 and ultimately fight for control of these critical squares. If you can't maintain control of these critical squares here, then the f5 sacrifice didn't mean anything. And, you might as well take your basketball and go home, because it's time to go. All right, so bro made a big mistake with knight c3. I thought that was a huge mistake. I took, bro played knight e7, I took, played bishop g4. Very happy to see this move, hitting this and this. Then played knight g6, I took. Yeah, this already looks pretty much over, though. If he tries to defend it, I'm just going to take here. We're grabbing a really critical pawn, hitting the king, hitting this. Computer's saying that I should even take here first. Yeah, that makes more sense. Look at that. Takes here. I'm up a pawn. Got a good bishop here. Bishop is going to return to this diagonal to shoot down the long diagonal like a lightning bolt. And yeah, we're up a pawn. His kingside structure is in tatters. This should be completely winning. I mean, the only thing we should watch out for here is just making sure that he can't get the knight around to d4 somehow. If he could get the knight to d4, he'll have good compensation. So I would assume a critical thing here. A critical thing in this position is that we need to make sure that we have something ready for knight c6. So like computer saying rook e1 here, if knight c6, we're going to trade and then what? That is really bizarre, honestly. We're just going to allow the knight to get into d4. We're going to play queen d2, and if the knight goes to d4, what are we going to do? Just rook e1? This is spellbinding, honestly. Look at this. Our bishop is dominating the knight. The knight actually is not relevant to the important part of the board. As long as our bishop stays here, our bishop keeps the knight away from getting into the king side, which is the center of the action. His knight can do whatever it wants on this side. Our bishop doesn't care. You just can't enter the danger zone, pal. Completely locked out of the danger zone. All right. So bro played knight g6. I took. We took. This should be completely winning here. What is the best way to win? Okay, I should just play rook f3 and double on the f-file. I felt like that was correct, but I wanted to win the game with a flourish, and I ended up making a lot of irresponsible moves. So I played b4. I took. Yeah, bro did this. a4. I just wanted to open up files, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to play a4 and a5. King h2, yeah, this is the start of some mistakes. I should just play rook f3 here. I made several mistakes in this game, and all of them were built around just being impatient and thinking the win would be too simple. Queen d6, yeah, this is a huge blunder. Huge blunder. I don't know why he didn't play e4 here. I'm in a lot of trouble now. Maybe he thought that I have this trick, because takes, and maybe he thought that, you know, if he takes with the queen, he loses the rook. But he's going to take with check. This is the whole problem. I have nothing here. I'm already losing here, actually, because I have to play g3. He could even just go somewhere back like this. He has the fatal pin here. He's going to recapture this way with a fantastic extra pass pawn on the d-file. So rook d2, bro took. Yeah, I just got very lucky. If he played e4, apparently I'm not losing yet, but this is a very tough position. I would play g3, e3, rook a2. Dude, this looks so tough. I have to find rook f3 here. This is shocking. If I don't find rook f3, okay, I guess I could take here, takes. I would have bet that this is going to be the way that the game ends here, pretty much. Takes. I probably wouldn't have taken here because then he's going to take, he's going to throw in a check, and then he's going to make a queen. But I could have taken here. He'll play rook f3. And yeah, I could see the game leading somewhere like here. This whole combination right here of this knight and pawn is so well placed, and they're covering such a coherent apparatus of squares on my second rank. This is deeply uncomfortable. Of course, if I play rook d1, e2 is also a huge problem. This is just a really dangerous position here. Anyway, fortunately for me, bro just took. Bro got too frisky, and bro got too greedy and just took. He traded queens. I'm happy to see this. I played a5 here. e4, takes. Yeah, I was close to playing rook b1 here. And e3, rook takes b6, e2. I thought that, oh, wow, I completely missed this. Rook e6, he has knight e5. This is a hopeless position here. I was looking at this. If he queens here, then I'm winning. I'm not winning? Wow, my calculation is just really bad. He can catch the pawn here. I didn't realize that. Yeah, he can catch the pawn in this position. I was only looking at the knight, and the knight can't catch the pawn. If the knight tries, he's not going to catch it. Looking at that position here, I thought he could play king f7 with a draw, because then I would just have to start checking and try to start bringing my rook to the e-file. The whole problem here is he's going to play e2, and I have no way to stop e2, right? I can't play rook b2 because his knight covers it, but anything else, he's going to play e2, and his knight is ready to cover e1. So I just don't have anything here. I would have to go for a draw with check. He goes here, check, and just checking back and forth. If he plays king e5, I could even try rook b8 to put my rook behind. But now in this type of position, this is getting much more frisky because this king and knight and pawn are so active here. Anyway, I played king g3. What did the computer want? Computer's bizarre. Computer's saying king g3 is best here, but then it's calling it inaccurate. Rook d1 is another good move, though, actually. Yeah, rook d1 makes a lot of sense. Look at that, just freezing the pawn out. I didn't like that this just doesn't do that much, right? It's not that active. Like, what is my rook doing in this position? I don't have anything to do here. I'm going to just have to chill out and wait. But I guess, yeah, in the long term now, I'm just going to be able to bring my king in, and once my king gets to e3, this pawn is completely frozen. It's not going to be a problem any longer. Like, the complications that were arising in this position are all derived from the fact that my king and rook are both not well equipped to deal with this pawn. If either of them were, then I would never lose to something like this. All right, so king g3, king g6, rook b1, knight e5. I just took. Yeah, and in this type of position, the saying goes, the expression goes that a rook is going to be equal to a knight and pawn in an endgame as long as everything is on the same side, but that's assuming that the knight is healthy. Or actually a better way to phrase it is that a knight and pawn can hold off a rook. The rook could always still be pushing for an advantage, but a knight and pawn can hold off a rook as long as all the pawns are on the same side and there's nothing really structurally terrible about the structure with the knight and pawn. Here, that's not the case, though. The knight is really misplaced. There's a gap between these pawns here, and this pawn is very weak. So the knight is tied to it, and there should be a lot of winning chances because of that. I would assume, guys, if we move this pawn back to e5 in this position, if we had like this type of structure here, I would assume that this would be a draw, because in this position, if the pawn was on e5 here, it would be a lot more healthy. Their knight wouldn't be tied to it. It would be reinforced by the f-pawn, and black would not have to defend that far. If the pawn were back on e5 here, he'd just need to defend these two weaknesses, and they're so close together that he shouldn't have a tough time defending both of them. Y'all who like endgames can study that in detail. I would put my money that that position is a draw, but luckily for me, his pawns are too disjointed. There's too much of a gap between these two, and the knight is too frozen to this. One of the nice things here is that if he ever plays f5 to try to reinforce this, he's just going to lose the knight to some trick. So king f7, this happened. I just hung around, rook a1. Yeah, the position's just completely over. I guess he should play king d5 here, but he's going to get into some type of zugzwang here. Probably, I'm wondering about the best way. What is the best way to handle this? Probably we should be putting the rook on, I would assume we should be putting the rook on like c7 or something. Yeah, because if king e6, this is the zugzwang we're going for. Rook c5 here. Now his king has to take a step back, and then we could play rook h5. Ultimately, his king just has too many weaknesses to deal with here. His king has to defend this knight. Knight is already tied to this pawn, so knight is stuck here for good. If the knight ever moves, we're going to take. King has to defend this knight. King also needs to be able to defend this pawn. Rook c5 is a perfect way to hit at both of them. If king f7, we'll play rook h5, king g6, and then rook d5, push the knight away. King can no longer maintain the knight on d6. Knight will have to move, and then we can take here with a completely winning position. Okay, actually, we shouldn't take there, because if we take, he has a fork. Instead, we should play h4 first, make sure the knight can't get in, and then we are going to take the completely winning position. I'm sure there are a bunch of other wins here, but this is the simplest. The last thing I wanted to check was this type of position. I would assume that this is a draw. This is honestly very tricky, though. Like, this is very close to being a win. Like, if he gets these moves wrong here... So this is a draw, but I would assume if we switched around the moves and we got it with him being in here, this is going to be zugzwang. So this is the position that he would need to watch out for here. If he plays this, we do this, and he's going to end up losing this pawn. If he does this, then we can do this, and we're going to win this pawn. He just needs to be a bit careful here. I would assume back in this position, he just needs to play h5. Yeah, he just plays h5. If we take here, his king will easily manage these two rook pawns. This is going to be a draw. All right. So in the end, he played knight b5 here, there. Probably king c4 was a little better because at least now I can't take because I'm running into a fork, but I would just play something like rook d7. He plays knight c3. I literally have nothing to worry about here. I could even just play king e3. I just want to make sure that his king can't get in close to this pawn. His knight is still tied to it. He's going to have to waste some time with his king, and now my rook can come down and hunt down these pawns here. I'm frequently using the fact that his king and knight just have no harmonious way to advance this pawn. I'm making sure that my king stands in the way of them getting normal squares. So in the end, he played king c3, we did this, and yeah, this is just the end of the game. Here he resigned, but it's just completely hopeless. I'm just going to march this pawn to the edge of the board. This is the key takeaway here. You got to be very careful about this structure. I've gotten this structure in a few games now here on this channel, and I'm not sufficiently afraid of this. I need to be more afraid of this structure. This is like one of the worst King's Indians you can get because your bishop is blocked in. It's pointed into this wall. Beyond that, if you ever trade here, your bishop should be back on this diagonal because that's the diagonal that's open. And besides that, also, your bishop is just... The Czech Benoni structure is just awful in so many ways. With this pawn here, you can never play c3 to crunch on their structure. Your bishop also can never reroute to this diagonal because this diagonal is blocked by the c pawn. This is literally one of the worst kings and in structures you could ever get. So you got to be very careful about getting the structure. This is like the fourth or fifth time I've gotten this structure, and I'm not sufficiently. I still don't feel sufficiently appreciative of how dangerous this structure is, and it continues. It continues to burn me in games. Luckily, though, I lucked out. I guess the second part of this takeaway, this is the same takeaway, but the second part is that just if you're gonna go for this F5 sacrifice, do it with your bishop on C1. Do not do it with your bishop already committed, pointing into the brick wall here.
Time to go!